This episode is presented by The Art of Listening to Yourself, the new book by Ismail Kala. Through this powerful journey, listening becomes a return to the child within us, the one who learned to hide, survive, and carry stories that were never truly his. At its heart, this book is a loving invitation to awaken beyond fear, ego, conditioning, and the invisible inheritances that shape who we believe we are. Order your copy now on Amazon.com.
I cried because I said, he heard me. And he's telling me, yes, I can be happy with less.
But what I believe is that I have the ability to impact others.
I want to talk about the illusion of success being a trap. What is success?
And then they were in real estate, and then the 80s the market crashed, and they lost everything.
And I actually had those days visiting a prison to prepare myself.
If you could change one thing about your journey that got here, what would you change?
So I had to meditate, and I said, Jesus, come to me, the Holy Spirit, please.
Once we can own that, there's this behavioral science principle called moral humility. So moral humility is the belief and knowledge.
Why? This one is over 10 years with me.
10 years.
10 years.
And you shower with it and everything?
Everything.
That's amazing, because it's also in great condition.
And I shower pretty well myself.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
The Abundance Revolution with Ismail Kala. The Abundance Revolution begins now.
Welcome everyone, welcome my friends of the world to the Abundance Revolution. I am your host, Ismail Kala, and today we're going into a conversation that requires courage. Not the kind of courage that we post about, not the polished, inspirational, easy to digest version of courage. Today we are talking about the kind of courage it takes to look at your own life and ask, where have I been lying to myself? Because sometimes the most dangerous moments in life do not arrive looking like disaster. They arrive looking like opportunity, a new client, a bigger deal, a chance to prove yourself, a way to provide, a shortcut that seems harmless, a silence that feels convenient, a small compromise that whispers just this once. And that is how the slippery slope begins, not with a dramatic fall, but with a quiet negotiation inside the soul. So my guest today knows that path from the inside. Rashmi Airann was raised to pursue excellence. She became a first-generation Indian American success story, graduated with honors, built a prestigious legal career, opened her own practice, and became the kind of woman many people would have looked at and said, she made it. But success, when it becomes identity, can become also a cage. And in Rashmi's story, ambition, pressure, fear, pride, and silence slowly led to choices that ended in a federal case, a guilty plea, and 6 months in prison. And yet prison was not the end of her story. In many ways, it was the beginning of her truest one. Because behind bars, Rashmi discovered that she had been imprisoned long before losing her physical freedom. Imprisoned maybe by ego, by image, by cultural pressure, by the need to be perfect, by the fear of asking for help, by the belief that success had to be protected at any cost. So now, today, she speaks to leaders, organizations, universities, and teams about ethics, blind spots, resilience, accountability, and the invisible prisons that shape our choices. Her work is not theoretical. It is lived, it is raw, it is human, and it carries a warning that every achiever, entrepreneur, executive, parent, and leader needs to hear. So, Rashmi, welcome to the Abundance Revolution.
Thank you for having me, Ismail.
How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me. I'm honored.
You and your book.
It just came out.
Brand new book.
Man, it just launched 2 weeks ago. I guess it's been 3 weeks now, and it's been such a joy to see it birth into the world and to get text messages and DMs and calls from the people whose lives I'm touching. You know, it's one thing to write a book. as you know, right?
Yes.
It's another thing entirely to put it into the world and see the immediate impact it's having. Because, don't we write books to touch people's lives and to impact them in some positive way? And so it's been really joyful.
I love the title. All rise like in the court.
Correct. But also the entire book is written around a four-part framework, which is called the RISE framework.
Wow. Amazing. How long did it take you to write it?
Honestly, I started writing the book in 2020. COVID hit, the world shut down, and I had been wanting to write my book. I had been home at that point about 4 years from prison. And so I had all these stories and memories, and I thought, you know what? I don't want to forget. Let me start writing. So I wrote about 100 pages or so, and it was everything about the case, the case, the sentencing, investigation, the plea, all of the things surrounding the case, prison stories that I didn't want to forget. And then the world opened back up, the events industry came back, and so I kind of took my writing and put it on a shelf, because what I realized was I didn't have the after story. I was still in the mode of figuring out, what is this for?
Exactly.
What is my work actually now? And so in last year, so 5 years later, I picked it up and realized all of my thought leadership and work is incredibly meaningful and impactful for leaders everywhere, for humans everywhere. And that was when I sat down and I took another 10 months to finish writing it.
Wow. Well, let's wait a little bit, like not instant gratification for our viewers and listeners to give the juicy story. Let's wait for that, because I was surprised that Rashmi spoke Spanish. I didn't know, I'm booking an English-speaking guest because this year I started doing the Abundance Revolution in English. My first guest was Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Amazing.
Yes, amazing. So it was like, oh my God, wow, this is beautiful. And now I'm looking for people like you that have great messages in English, but I was surprised that you said, I speak Spanish. And people confuse me with Dominicans when I speak Spanish. So why do you speak Spanish?
Well, when you grow up in Miami,
yes,
I basically moved here when I was 2. And so when you grow up in Miami, you are basically, by osmosis, you learn Spanish. My best friend is half Cuban, half American. Now, having said that, I had a housekeeper that started working with me now 20 years ago. She is from Honduras, and she doesn't speak any English. She really hasn't tried to learn much English either, so she lives in her bubble.
Yes.
And she lived with me for 10 years. She still works with my family and helps us cook. And now I live in a multi-generational home with my parents. And so she works for all of us, or with all of us. And so because she lived with me for so many years, I could only communicate with her in Spanish. So I learned so much Spanish from her. So it's sort of a combination. And then, of course, I've studied it in school and I studied it in college a little bit. So a combination of all of it. And then you just keep practicing. I went to Spain recently. My son was studying in Spain for 5 months in Madrid. And so I went to Spain and I was in Barcelona and Madrid. And so I spoke a lot of Spanish and got a lot more practice.
And she speaks really good.
Sí.
The Spanish one, yes.
Sí, verdad.
Yes, verdad. So, but you are first generation Indian American.
Correct.
So both of your parents are from India.
They are. They moved here. Dad moved in 1967, went back in 1970 to marry my mom, and then they both came back.
So it means that their first language is not English.
It's not. No,
it's Hindi?
Their first language is Hindi.
Do you speak Hindi?
I do. I speak Hindi.
Oh my God. Do you know that I'm Indian by...
Are you really? I can see that.
Well, I don't know how to explain it, but I am Indian.
Okay.
I am like a Maharaj, whatever.
So I should be bowing to a king.
Well, probably because that's what an astrologist told me, that in a past life,
okay, that makes sense.
Was 14th century living in India, and it was very rich. I was like a Maharaja, do you say?
Maharaja.
Maharaja. I was like a Maharaja having so much land, and I said, oh, wow, must be true, because when I first visited India in 2013, I felt that I was from there.
Really?
And I've been 18 times in India.
18?
18 times.
Oh my gosh, we have to have a whole conversation about that.
I know. I'm coming back next year. I bring people, I bring groups, because...
Let's go together.
Let's go together.
Let's do a retreat.
Yes, when I discovered India, the first time I had a kind of a difficult time because it was a cultural shock. And I saw a lot of poverty when I went to Varanasi, and it was very shocking. But I said, wow, that's why I need to come back here and have like a guide or somebody, guiding me through the culture. So, and I had the opportunity to come back with Deepak Chopra, and I went to India, to Kerala, and then I understood. You are not here to judge anything. You are here to absorb. Yeah. And I love it. My clothes, not this one, but I have most of the clothes that I wear are made in India. I love it. I love the culture. And people ask me in the streets something in Hindi, and I say, I'm so sad that I don't speak Hindi.
We have
I love your culture.
We have very similar coloring, if you think about it.
Yes.
Yeah, very similar coloring.
Yes.
And you're wearing all of the bracelets.
Well, this is from a Hindu temple.
Oh, wow.
In Varanasi. I was blessed by a priest.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And Rashmi, this is unbelievable. My friends, they all lost it. I mean, it broke, like tore apart. And I don't know why. This one is over 10 years with me.
10 years?
10 years.
And you shower with it and everything?
Everything.
That's amazing because it's also in great condition.
Yes.
Because usually they start to fray.
Exactly.
That's amazing.
It's kind of something that have no explanation, because I asked my friends, we were like 6, and we got them at the same time. And they said, mine is long gone. And I said, well, this is mine, and it's still like this. And I shower pretty well myself.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
So we do a Diwali worship. So we do a Diwali party every year for Diwali.
Yes.
And every year for Diwali, we wrap, we call it dhaga, as thread. And then, actually mine just came off this morning. So every year I keep it on until it falls off. But you shower with it. It's very, very, very thin. And when it falls off, it falls off. Wow. Diwali will be now in October. You'll have to come to our party.
Yes, please.
Yes.
I love it. Now I have my new Indian American friend, Rashmi.
Exactly.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Next year, we're coming back to New Delhi, Mumbai, Agra, and Varanasi.
And who are you going with?
A group of 50 people.
Wow.
I bring people who are afraid of traveling alone to such a different culture and country, and I say no, let's do it because you will love it. You will love it. It's an amazing spiritual experience.
Very spiritual. Is there a healing component that you bring in? Okay,
yes, I teach meditation. I do meditations every day. We do yoga and we do satsans, which is like
bhajans.
Exactly. So it's amazing, and people have fun because
of course.
I mean, we don't go to like 2 or 2-star hotels. We go to the luxurious India.
And by the way, when you're in India, the way to travel is the nice hotels, because then you can trust the food, you can trust the water, you can trust the ice cubes, like all of the things that you want to make sure are safe when you go. So we're going to have to talk about that offline.
And actually, let's start with India, because I think, culture kind of defines us. And you are coming from a very rich culture from your parents, and you were born here?
I was born here
in the United States. So
Correct.
You're American, born and raised here. But what could you say that it's the best and the most challenging gifts that you received from your ancestors, from the Indian culture?
This episode is presented by The Art of Listening to Yourself, the new book by Ismail Kala. Through this powerful journey, listening becomes a return to the child within us, the one who learned to hide, survive, and carry stories that were never truly his. At its heart, this book is a loving invitation to awaken beyond fear, ego, conditioning, and the invisible inheritances that shape who we believe we are. Order your copy now on Amazon.com.
Oh gosh, I've received so much good. And then also I imposed so much upon myself, the self-imposed obligations and expectations that we as first generation, immigrants believed that we had to do, first generation Americans. And so let me give a story, and I talk about it in my book, and I usually talk about it from stage. My grandfather, my dad's side, his name was Banarsi Das Saraf. He was a freedom fighter against the British with Gandhi.
Wow!
So my entire childhood has been formed
with
stories about my grandfather. On the day that my dad was born, 1946, my grandfather, in Hindi we say Dadaji, was in jail alongside Gandhi.
Wow.
So my entire childhood has been wrapped into this idea that you fight for what's right, to be a survivor, to be tenacious, to have courage, and always pursue your values, right? And so all of those, that legacy that came with my grandfather, when my father decided to come to America to achieve the dream, to have a better life, education and hard work, he could achieve anything. That was the belief. So when he comes, my parents stand for this really, like this idea that if they work hard and they have faith, anything is possible.
Yeah.
And so without going into so much detail, I will share with you that my parents, I would say, made it. We used to live in Gables Estates, which is, one of the nicest, arguably one of the nicest neighborhoods in Miami, on the ocean, like the last house on the ocean. And my parents were in their 30s. And then they were in real estate. And then the 80s, the market crashed and they lost everything.
Really?
Everything. So I'm a senior in high school. I went to Coral Gables High School. I'm a senior in high school and my parents lose everything. We lose the house to foreclosure. They had to file bankruptcy. And so here are these two people that come from India to make it. And they make it. And then they lose everything.
Wow.
And so in that stage, I was 18. And I watched my parents, right, like live through this struggle and pain and never lose hope and never lose faith and never stop loving each other. And so I was the oldest of three girls. So it was 18, 17, 11 at the time. And my parents honored us with the truth. They showed us what integrity means. So they were absolved of all of their legal creditor obligations in the bankruptcy.
Wow.
But I can tell you to date, it's now been 35 years, because they gave a personal guarantee to their investors. They were doing real estate syndications. They've paid back almost $1 million, not because they were legally obligated to do so, but over the course of 35 years, they have slowly made payments to the people that had invested in them because they believed it was the right thing to do.
Exactly.
So what I've learned from my parents is so much. This book is dedicated to my parents and my kids, but so much of watching them go through pain and struggle and loss and grief has taught me that is the human existence. We are all fallible, imperfect humans figuring this thing called life out.
That's true.
And watching my parents go through it and never stop smiling. I mean, yes, were there tears? Was there sadness? Yes, but they never lost hope. And so that constant faith has been instilled in me. I went through what I went through. And when I was going through it, I remember the first thing my mom said to me when I got the subpoena, for the grand jury subpoena, and I was so scared, right? I was shaking. And the first thing that happens is my mom says, Beti, in Hindi it means daughter, this must be your karma. Like there's some lesson you're supposed to learn from this. There's a reason why you're meant to go through this. Your soul chose to go through this in this life. And you're going to become better. We don't know what that is yet.
Exactly.
And so I've always had this like understanding that it'll all be okay. Whether it's, fast forward a few years, my sister then passed away from mental health issues in 2019. So, my parents have gone through a lot. They've had their own struggles. They've watched me struggle. They lost a daughter to mental health. And yet they still have so much faith and love.
Wow.
And belief. Like it's incredible to watch my parents. So you asked me, what did I get from the culture?
Yes.
I mean, I don't know if it's cultural or my parents or just a combination because they get it from their family.
Exactly.
Right. But that just unending faith and belief in myself comes from my parents. And so when I was going through this and I lost everything, right? I lost my bar license. Of course, I lost my freedom. I lost my right to vote. I lost all my money. I lost my marriage. I lost arguably a lot. But I also never felt like I lost myself. I never lost my identity. So
it's a sense of acceptance of the present moment.
Yeah.
And accepting that spiritually there is an internal growth that will come out of the experience that you are having right now.
Yes, there's...
And as you were saying that, you actually transported me to India because that's how I feel when I watch people in India. And actually, it's the sensation that I have with people that have less material things instead of the ones that are like stepping out of a Rolls Royce, with the driver with white gloves opening the door, but sometimes their faces are kind of closed. But I see in India a lot of people, with peace and at peace, even having nothing.
Yeah, some material things don't buy us happiness. I try to help my kids learn this lesson. Of course, we want to make money to be able to survive and live.
Yes, because I don't want to be happy without money.
No, Rashmi. Correct. We want to be able to live.
Yes, I said that to myself.
And live nicely.
And this happened to me in the old Delhi. This is a true story. Like I was judging the little boy, like riding the tricycle, and I was, in Spanish saying, can he be happy with so little, materially speaking? And as if he was listening to me and translated into Hindi, he gave me like
the biggest smile.
Oh my God, I cried. I cried because I said, he heard me and he's telling me, yes, I can be happy with less. But then I was like for 5 minutes melodramatic. And then I said, well, Ismael, he could be happy with less. But for you, there is a no negotiable thing that God gave you. And it's called imagination. And money is a vehicle for you to finance and execute your big dreams because you can imagine. So that's my theory. I just wanted to ask you about that.
Yeah, and I agree with you because yes, so I lost all of my money. Yes. And I still every month have to go and pay money to the clerk of courts. I have a very large restitution judgment. But what I believe is that I have the ability to impact others. So I do it from stages, in workshops and retreats, podcasts, my book. But the more financial strength that we have, the more we can give, right?
That's
and
true.
So I serve on boards in Miami. I want to be able to set up a foundation in my sister's honor with my parents. So I want to be able to impact others with the financial strength that I have.
Exactly.
So I need to be able to build myself back up to the financial strength that I used to have, take care of my children, take care of myself. I'm single still, and so because I'm divorced. And so, I'm a single mom trying to take care of a lot. So I need to still make money, right? And but then I want to be able to give back to others. So,
exactly.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, did your parents bounce back from the crisis and they kind of build it up again?
My parents have had a very interesting journey. My parents had both gone to law school at night while they were doing real estate. So when this financial crisis happened in 1989, Dad hung up a shingle and started practicing law.
Oh.
And so Dad has had a legal practice now since 1989, so almost 40 years. Or is it more than 40 years? Yeah, almost 40 years. My math is not right. Yeah, so, but he's still, he'll be 80 this Wednesday, and he still practices. He still takes on cases. Now, mom...
That's part of my tribe, because I don't believe in retirement.
No.
I don't believe in that. Isolation and then asking attention of your kids and your grandkids because you feel irrelevant, because you have nothing important to do with your life. Right. No, I don't want that social script applied to my life.
I 100% agree. Like I love doing what I do, and I want to keep doing what I do.
That's a mission for you.
It is my
purpose.
It's
not work.
It's my purpose.
It's your
As
purpose.
the book says, it's my purpose. I will say that watching my parents still continue to work, because my mom also still practices law. My mom also is very involved in our community. She started a nonprofit in honor of my sister for mental health in South Florida. Mm-hmm. So both of them are perpetually busy and perpetually doing things. So it's definitely been like burnt into me, like you keep working, you keep providing, you keep doing. But you did say something earlier about how I was a provider, and sometimes that becomes confusing when you're trying to provide, how easy it is to sometimes make bad choices. So maybe you want to get into the story a little bit.
Yes, please. Tell us what happened.
Yeah.
Okay? Because I look at you and I look at a person that is really well-centered, that for whatever, you receive from your parents, probably you were raised into this is right, this is not right, the ethical or unethical parts, but you said it, we are humans. And I committed a crime when I was 26. I could go to prison for that.
What'd you do?
I would have been caught. Well, I don't know how to say this in English. In Spanish, it's called payola. Payola in Spanish. Payola is when you work at a radio station and a music label or a band or an artist pays you to play the music to make it a hit on the radio. That's a crime.
It's almost like, it's sort of like a bribe, but not really a bribe.
Exactly. Yeah. Still, at this moment, that's happening. With radio stations and not now television, because now it's YouTube, but at radio stations. Well, I was 26. I was really young, and I felt the pressure because my colleagues, they said to me, so you are the only one who doesn't want to take the money? We all have an orchestra that we represent. So you want to be special and you don't want to do it to tell on us?
Interesting.
Very interesting. And I was 26 and I did it. And I now say this, to people, I say, that's not the Ismael that I am now. Probably now I would say a firm no. I'm not going to do it. Even if you do it, I'm not going to do it. But back then in Cuba, with all unmet needs, wow, I said yes. And I did it for a year until I left the island.
I think what's interesting about that is, I have this concept of we are all stuck in these invisible prisons.
Yes.
Right? I talk a lot about it in the book. And those invisible prisons oftentimes show up as people putting pressure on us.
Exactly.
Or everyone else is doing it, I might as well do it.
Yes.
And so that family and life pressure that comes onto us, I call it one of the walls of our invisible prisons, is real. And we all have them. And I think what I hear you saying is that you have given yourself some grace for that period of your life. Because guess what? We are all imperfect beings. And every single one of us at some point in life has made a bad decision. It's just part of who we are. It's the human existence. And so
Some of us were not caught legally.
Correct.
And some people were caught. But I did it.
Yeah.
So probably I would have spent, like 5 or 6 months in prison. You see, Martha Stewart went to prison 5 months.
Yeah.
They couldn't prove her inside trading, but they said that she lied and, somebody needed to kind of make a case publicly.
I think the theory here is we are all, every single human, are capable of drift. Once we can own that, there's this behavioral science principle called moral humility. So moral humility is the belief and knowledge that on any given day, in any given moment, I could make a bad decision, given the stressors, the influences, the pressures, the speed, the noise of life. And so when we're in that noise of life, because it's inevitable, every one of us will make a decision at some point.
Yes.
How do we own it? How do we hold ourselves accountable and then grow and learn from it? Which is really my whole life. That's in the last 10 years. That's what I've done.
Mm-hmm. And now, tell us in a nutshell what happened to you.
Yeah. So I was an attorney here in South Florida in the heyday of real estate, right? It was 2007, before the crash. And I was a solo entrepreneur. I ended up having 2 little children at home. I was married to a firefighter. And so there was a lot of pressure. I was the major breadwinner. And so I was really focused on hustling and getting the next client and, paying my bills. And so I kept going to every networking dinner, every possible organizational event, selling my services at the gym. Any place I could potentially get a client, I was going. That meant my marriage started to fall apart. The kids started asking me, Mommy, are you coming home for dinner? And in this context is when I had the chance to meet a real estate developer. Mm. And so what was going on in my head was, I just need this one client. And that's the answer to all of my problems, the answer to my struggle, the answer to my financial issues. So to make a very long story short, essentially I went to go meet him on his office was in Miami Beach, and he was giving buyers incentives to buy condo units. So basically what every other developer was doing at the time. He was doing it in a form, the form he was using was a rental guarantee. So he would say, Ismael, if you buy my condo unit, I will give you 2 years of rent. You won't even have to worry about it. We'll rent the unit for you. So I guarantee you, you'll get rent. And your mortgage payment, then you can pay. Mm-hmm. I was like, okay, well, it's creative. What I didn't do is I didn't ask more questions. And inside my gut felt like something was wrong. Ultimately, I started working with him within 2 weeks. And it was like a steamroll came in. And I just didn't take or make the time to do the due diligence, to ask the questions, to ask for help. Because, I used to think that asking for help was like weakness.
That's true.
And somehow I thought I had to know it all. So I did about 100 closings for him. And there's lots of stories along the way of, there's this story of a Christmas Eve where I get an email while I'm making my children sleep with a house full of family. And I forward an email in a moment, even though my gut was screaming something didn't feel right.
Oh, wow.
And that email ended up being one of the main pieces of evidence against me by the government.
Wow.
I didn't get indicted until 7 years later.
Wow.
So I stopped working with him. I started in October 2007. I stopped working with him in March 2009. So it was about 15 months. And then I merged my practice with my father's. I stopped doing transactional work altogether. And then the FBI came 4 years later. Then I got a grand jury subpoena 2 years later, and then I got indicted a year later.
Wow.
And I was indicted for bank fraud and conspiracy to commit bank fraud. For a long time, I kept fighting it and fighting it and fighting it. I'm like, I didn't do anything. This is 4 years, years later, my files have passed audit. It's so easy to convince ourselves that we didn't do anything wrong. Ultimately, my attorney, who's the best in Miami, David Marcus, called me into his office and he said, look, I know you didn't walk into this planning a crime. You didn't intend this, but you knew enough. And as an attorney, you could have either walked away or you should have asked more questions. And your gut was telling you. And you knew this one thing, because that one thing of the rental guarantee that Ismael was getting, I wasn't detailing that out to your bank, to your lender. And that's where the bank fraud comes in. So I pled guilty. I decided to plead guilty. And then I called. So I have sat on a lot of boards in Miami. I know all of the politicians and all of the managing partners of law firms. I've been very involved in our community. And so I called everybody. I called 200 people in our community. And the judge got almost 200 letters supporting me. And then everyone showed up at my sentencing hearing. And it was that lesson that I had spent my whole life believing, that the only reason people loved me or wanted to be my friend was because I was this superstar. I was this achiever. And all of my self-worth, my self-love, my self-esteem, my self-value was rooted in that. And that's very cultural as well.
Yes.
And this was the moment that I realized people love me for me. And people are very forgiving of our humanity.
Exactly.
When we get
because if they showed up for you being vulnerable and exposed, it's because they love you. Wow, that's really good, because those are real friends
Authentic
and supporters, authentic relationships. It doesn't happen often in a world of appearances and symbols.
It's interesting that you say that, because I think we convince ourselves that people care about the material things, right? But the people that are authentic relationships, that if I met you 20 years ago and I just wanted to learn from you, hey, I want to understand, how did you become a CNN anchor? Share with me what that journey was like for you. Not because I wanted anything else but to learn from you.
To learn.
Right?
No, that's okay. But I can tell you.
Authentic, selfless.
I can tell you that I was relieved and happy when I quitted my CNN anchoring primetime position at CNN en Español. Why? Because I had a lot of people, calling me, and my phone was ringing all the time. But when I quit it, my phone went silent.
You figure out who your friends are, that's for sure.
Exactly. And I was very happy, because I said, I knew it, I suspected that maybe 60% of my circle, it's based on of self-interest. Okay? And that's okay. That's okay. But I was kind of happy saying, now that I don't have that position of power, now I will know who really loves Ismael? And Ismael in a transition, just with his startup company, starting from scratch, building a new trajectory of life. And I was really happy. And one of my friends, actually, Mirna, she lives here now at Cala Center with me. I met her when I was her waiter in Toronto. When I left Cuba, I was serving her her meals. And that's one of my best relationships, because she didn't meet Ismael when Ismael was public, famous, a celebrity. No, she met Ismael in a very essential, primitive, vulnerable state. And she believed in me. So that's really nice that you got a lot of support, because, those are the moments that prove
It does.
the caliber of the people that you are having relationships with.
One of my friends said, Rashmi, you stood naked and exposed for the entire world to judge you. And we all did. And we all got to see ourselves in you. And you taught us something that we could teach our kids and talk about you, and we love you. So it really was such a beautiful shift in my perspective on myself, on humanity, on others. And, now when I think about how I used to see myself, right, this successful person, that I used to define myself by grades and school and clients and money, now it's like I really just define myself, can I touch one person today? Can I inspire one person to think differently, to act differently, to behave differently, to see themselves differently? If I can do that, it's a successful day.
Let's talk about the book, and then you will get inspired to buy the book. It's out. It's on Amazon.
It's on Amazon, Books a Million. Any of the places you want to buy a book, you can buy it.
Perfect.
And it's on Audible too, and I narrate it.
I love the structure of the book, and I'm flying tomorrow to Guadalajara, Mexico.
Perfect.
So I'm going to start reading the book.
I'm going to have to endorse it for
you. Please. But I'm kind of an avid reader that I always go and say, what is And I love how you structure the chapters. Part 1, reframe. Part 2, identify. Part 3, surrender. Part 4, evolve. Wow. And the epilogue, living in the frame. Wow. I want to talk about the illusion of success being a trap.
Yeah.
What is success?
Well, I just started to say it. Success is really what we choose we wanted it to be. I think society and culturally it happens a lot too, right? So those of us that are in these cultures or families where success is, be an attorney, be a doctor, be an engineer. And I always say, my parents didn't force this upon me. It just became this quiet belief that existed in our community. And, it was sort of this unspoken thing that all of us Indian kids were angling, trying to get one up each other, I did this in school and I did this in school. And so we were always working harder. I was the total nerd growing up. I was not popular. I was overweight. And the illusion of success, the reason why it's a trap is you think that the success is the goal, right? And that becomes an illusion because you're never quite finished. You never quite think you achieve the goal, then there's something next. And we want our kids to be ambitious. We want our kids to keep reaching higher and keep achieving. But when we begin to define ourselves by that success, that's where the problem is. And sorry, go ahead.
No. What I'm saying is actually those are the concepts in our life that if we don't meditate upon them and we really know what is success personally to me, we are in a trap of unfulfillment.
Well, so at the root of it is ego.
Yes.
At the root of it is this belief that that ego continues, I think ego is a total trap, right? So it's that driver that you think that you have to feed this ego. And so if we can have the awareness, intentional awareness around what is causing us to believe certain things about our worth, that frees up then the ability to see success differently. And just be happy and find joy and impact people in a different way. That's how I see it.
In the first part of the book, you talk about the blueprint. So the blueprint is what we receive, what we
From
have
our ancestors.
as an inheritance.
Yes.
Okay? And you say cultural intelligence starts at home. And there are many, key points like strategies born from struggle. Do you think we need to struggle a little bit to create identity?
I don't know if need is the right word, but what we all do struggle. I think struggle is that universal truth. And so when we struggle, because it's not if, it's when, the inevitability of struggle is real. So when we struggle, the opportunity and the way what I believe in that's written in the book is the opportunity is to be able to reframe that struggle into something that's at a higher level that we just can't see yet. So what I always believe is that the opportunity in the struggle is the knowing that when you're facing this mountain, right, or you're in the darkness, and you just can't even imagine that there could be light tomorrow. But it's the faith and belief that if I just take a spoon into the mountain, little by little, I will be able to dig a tunnel in to see the light, right? It's to know and have the faith that there is light. I just have to have the belief that it's there. And so the reframe happens when you know that that light can be there, is there. You just have to get through the mountain to get there. And when going through the mountain means you're going to feel the pain, you have to embrace it. You got to go through whatever that means for you because it's not easy, right? Struggle is not meant to be easy. It tests our patience. We have to wrestle with it. It doesn't just come and go like this. Struggle can be here for 5 minutes. It can be here for 5 hours. It can be here for 5 months, 5 years. So when we're in the struggle, it's the patience to know that no matter how long this takes, I believe if the universe has given me this struggle, I'm meant to learn something from it, grow from it, and then evolve from it. I don't know what that is yet, but so I'm going to share a story. There was when I first got indicted, we called like all of my aunties and uncles from our community, my parents' closest friends, to the house, and we told them. And it was like very emotional. Dad was crying and I'm crying, and I always say that my mom's hard as nails. She doesn't cry. And there was this uncle from the community, everyone's auntie and uncle. So this uncle here says to me, Beti, also in Hindi that means daughter, one day you'll realize that this is not happening to you, it's happening for you. And so the spiritual principles that I have received, you read Cultural Intelligence Starts at Home. A lot of what we learn from the people around us and our culture become like these seeds in the back of our head that we don't even know are planted there. And then when they come to fruition and we can actually recall those seeds, and then how they play out in our life has such impact, right? It has such value in how we then live.
How was your time in prison? I want to know because, to tell you the truth, I just visited 3 or 4 times maximum security prisons, and I was working with the Art of Living Foundation, the Art of Living Foundation, doing mindfulness treatment and breath work, and it was very interesting. And I actually had those days visiting a prison to prepare myself, not to judge, because I say, if I'm asking, even in my mind, why is this person here? I'm judging that person. Yep. I'm separating from that person. I'm not loving that person. So I had to meditate, and I said, Jesus, come to me, the Holy Spirit, please. I need to be really an instrument of love inside the prison. And I actually achieved it those 3-4 times that I went to prisons in Costa Rica. But I cannot imagine being myself there.
Okay, well, let's just start with that. I was not in a maximum security prison.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
I was in a minimum security.
Yes.
I actually was in 3 separate facilities.
Okay.
I was in Miami in a federal detention center, which was like a holding center for 10 days. And that was, I guess you would say minimum security. Medium security, because it was like a building and the women were on like half a floor.
Okay.
And so there was no place to go. Most of my time was spent at a minimum security camp, which was called Coleman, which is about an hour north of Orlando. And I treated it like an ashram experience.
Oh, really?
That was my my intention when I got there. Remember, by the time I had reached prison, I was really at a place of peace. I had accepted and owned that this is happening for me.
Yes.
I don't know what's coming, but I'm going to treat this experience as an opportunity for me to grow, to have some self-awareness.
Yes.
So I was very intentional.
Yes.
I also was very fortunate, right? I knew I was only going to be there maximum a year. So that was also like...
So when you got to prison, you didn't know that it was going to be only 6 months?
No. When I got there, my sentence was a year.
A year, okay.
A year and a day. But even that, 1 year compared to the sentence that many other women were facing was still very short. So in the grand scheme of things, even a year was a very short period of time, right? So when I got there, I wanted to, like, as much as I could, read, pray, learn, and sort of see this time as a self-imposed government time to deconstruct what happened.
Yes.
So I wrote a lot of letters to friends. I prayed a lot. I read the Bible, the Gita. I was reading all sorts of spiritual.
The Bhagavad Gita.
See, I was reading all these like different religious texts just to understand. I saw it as my opportunity to do things that I normally would not have time to do. I was working out a lot. I've always been a health nut, but in prison, I was asked to teach a class on weight loss and lead a fitness class. So I did that, which is a fun little fact that most people don't know. And I had jobs. So my first job was I was the trash girl. And that meant that every night I would have to like get all the trash from the various housing units, put it in, they were in these big, huge bins. And then I had to roll these bins to the back of the complex at night by myself in the back of this, prison, huge center. And I had gloves, thank God. And I would have to take these bags and put them in the compactor. And then some of the bags would bust and all the bathroom and kitchen waste would be there. And I'd have to like take it and put it into the trash compactor and hit the button. So that was my first job. Very humbling. Talk about releasing ego. My next job, which is what I did the rest of the time, was I was an English math teacher. So I went to the education department, and the woman that was teaching math had left. She was released. So I hand wrote a resume, and I submitted it to education, and then they hired me. It was like, I don't know, 25 cents an hour. And I taught math. So in the mornings, I would teach at 10 a.m. in Spanish to abuelitas that had never learned
in Spanish,
that had never learned fractions, that had never learned how to, add 1/4 plus 3/8. And then in the afternoons, I would teach in English. So I had 2 classes, and I had all these abuelitas that, loved me because I was teaching them finally math. I had a routine.
And you were busy.
Oh, yeah. I kept myself busy.
So probably the 6 months went by.
Yeah, because I didn't see it as, I didn't want to just sleep all day.
Exactly.
Now, listen, I say that, but there are a lot of women who are sad, who are mad, bitter. Because I had come to this spiritual place, I thought, okay, I have a period of time here to make myself a better human. So,
in which capacities do you think, Rashmi, prison equipped you?
The skills that I have learned from prison are many. The ones that I believe really have translated to my life are adaptability.
Adaptability. That's what we want in leaders.
Right, because
adaptability, flexibles like bamboos.
Adaptability, because I had no idea from one day to the next who the guard was going to be, would I be safe? Where could I go? Would I be told to go to this other place, So adaptability for sure, because here you are in the midst of a situation that you have no control over. So you just have to adapt. So adaptability. Another was you really figure out when to stay silent and when to speak up, because there are definitely people that I try to avoid, right? Then there's other people that I wanted to find connection and collaboration with. I wanted to learn, like, I had a prison mom. She taught me how to crochet.
Oh, wow.
I learned how to make certain recipes, 4 of which are in the book. They're called my prison hacks. So the ability to make friendships in a very stressful scenario taught me like when to stay silent, when to speak up, and how to build those connections and collaboration. I would say like another one was just learning to lead from a place of humility, right? Learning to be a human from the place of humility. And I learned so much of that in prison because, as you said, I knew I was passing judgment on people in prison when I got there. And I used to think I was better. I absolutely would have passed judgment on them if I had not ever gone to prison, right?
Exactly.
If I had just known, this person was in for prostitution, or this person was in for ID theft, this person was in for tax fraud, for drug dealing, right? I would have like you said, I would have separated myself. But it's in the separation that is the most dangerous assumption.
Exactly.
Because we are all the same. We are all humans. So going through this experience, recognizing that we have this shared human existence was one of the biggest skills I have learned that I now have transferred into every single thing that I do.
What do you want people who read your book to be the taste and the lessons that you want to convey with the book?
I mean, the biggest lesson is no matter the struggle, the pain, the fear, the uncertainty that you're going through, you can rise through it. We are all going to go through something. And
all rise.
And we can all rise. Yeah.
Wow. Amazing. Your kids, a boy and a girl.
Yes.
How old are them?
So Kyler and Maya are now 21 and 20. When I was in prison, they were 10 and 9.
10 and 9, they were kids.
They were little. It was such an incredible lesson for them. I made a very conscious decision with their dad to tell them the truth. So when we told them, as painful as it was, it gave them the space and freedom to ask a lot of questions. I had 60 days before I had to surrender. So they asked me questions like, Mommy, what will you wear? Mommy, will you be safe? Mommy, can we come visit you? Right? Like every child just wants to know that their mommy's coming back and will be safe. And then because I had told them the truth, and by the way, when I called these 200 people, that also included their friends' parents and their teachers. So everyone in their world knew. They didn't have to hide from it. So they would come and visit me when I was in prison, and their friends would know, their teachers would know, and their friends would say, "Tell your mom I say hi. Tell your mom we miss her." And so that level of transparency was so important for my kids, I think, to learn, because the best way for our children to learn, I hope, is by seeing us go through struggle and then come through it stronger on the other side. And now my kids are adults. My son will be a senior in college. My daughter will be a junior, and they're living their lives and their paths. And
are they proud of their mom?
They are. They're very proud. Yeah. It's interesting. Maya.
Have they read
They're
the book?
both reading it right now. My daughter's reading it on Audible. My son's reading the hard copy. He's working in New York City right now. But yeah, it's interesting to see how the kids have talked about this experience and their experience of their mom being in prison. Maya, this last semester, wrote a poem for her. She was in a creative writing class, and she wrote this poem and submitted it. And then apparently the teacher thought it was the best poem of the whole class. And then it was about me and, me going to prison and her feelings about it. And so the fact that she can be so open and talk about it and write about it and from a place of strength it's such a beautiful thing.
Wow, that's unbelievable. So this is my next reading tomorrow.
Awesome.
Going to Guadalajara. All Rise, A Lawyer's Evolution from Prison to Purpose. Rashmi Airann. And the book is on Amazon, Books and Books, Barnes and Nobles, and all the places where books are sold in the United States. But because this is global, I think...
You can do e-Kindle and Audible.
Exactly. Yeah. And Amazon, because
and
Amazon, it's also global.
Yes.
So, wow, Rashmi, we have so many things in common.
We do.
From India, I have a connection with India. You speak Spanish, I didn't know that. And then you said, I lost my sister through... due to mental health issues. And I'm coming from that.
Oh, you are?
Yes, my father was an schizophrenic patient. He was a chemical engineer, brilliant. But my mom didn't know that he was sick with voices in his head.
When was that? How long ago?
In Cuba. I mean, I wasn't 10 when he stopped working because a medical commission said he is not... equipped to work.
What's so sad about that? Because my sister was also...
Yes, but I had a psychiatric treatment when I was 15, and I'm coming from a family of serious mental health issues. a suicide of my grandfather, a suicide of my aunt, my father's sister. And then when I thought that, okay, this is over, 3 years ago, my other aunt, the person who took care of my father, committed suicide. And it's really like,
So sorry.
wow, yes, it's unbelievable. The work I do now is actually kind of a tribute. It's a celebration of being free from that, inheritance, because I believe that genetically we are kind of having the blueprint. But thankfully, I discovered that self-knowledge and meditation, mindfulness, and inner work actually
It's so
can
vital. Yeah.
break you.
It really
free.
does. It's so
Yes.
vital. We do. So my sister was also schizophrenic, and
wow.
she was schizophrenic, bipolar affected.
My brother, I have a brother medicated, and he's living with that, and he's taking the pill. And one day, I hope that he will realize that I can help him with what I do.
Yeah. So it's so incredible, right? Years ago, when your father and my sister were going through what they were going through, there was so much stigma attached to mental health, and the medications weren't good.
No.
Psychiatrists didn't know how to deal with it. Nobody knew how to talk about it.
Exactly.
And nobody wanted to talk about it
No.
because of the stigma.
In my family, we could not talk
course.
about anything. No conversation about the suicides, no conversation about the mental
It feels
issues.
like such a trap. Oh my gosh.
No conversation. Even when I was a kid, my father lost his left arm when he was 8 years old in an accident. And I was prohibited. I was banned of asking my father.
Why?
I don't know. It's a countryside, small town stigma, taboo. Everything was around shame and guilt. So it's unbelievable. And now, thanks God, we talk about it. It's nobody has to feel ashamed of saying, I have a relative or I'm suffering from a mental disorder, or even what we were trying to change at the Congress here in the United States, that not everything related to the mental health, it's actually mental. Sometimes are brain disorders. It's something chemical or electrical in the brain.
So, and I've asked my daughter so I can talk about this. So my daughter also suffers from some like anxiety and depression and some mood disorders. And it's interesting because she's in various aspects of therapy, and there are certain therapies that really help. Like basically equipping her with the right tools to, in the moment when she has, some sort of like thought, she can equip herself with the tools to overcome that thought.
Yes.
Of course, she's also on medication.
I don't know if you know her, but I should connect you with an expert in mindfulness, and she's actually an Indian American.
Oh, is it
Dr.
Amishi?
Amisha.
I know her.
You know her. She's amazing.
Yeah, I do know her.
And she's doing an amazing job using meditation and mindfulness, kind of helping the veterans from the U.S. Army to really get social reinsertion successfully, because, they come from the war with those traumas and, oh my God. And,
well, I would argue that also needs to be done for people coming out of prison.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
I mean, think about the work that you've done in various prisons.
And it's really
There's
amazing.
so much value, yeah.
So
much of, I believe, my growth and my ability to be who I am is because I have done so much prayer, so much meditation, gratitude journaling, like so much of that has helped me, have the clarity that I know I have now. And it's a daily struggle. We're always working on it, you know? Yeah.
This is unbelievable. I love Rashmi.
Oh, well, thanks so much
Thank
for having
you for coming.
me.
And now the last minutes of the podcast is you asking me the questions.
Oh.
Whatever you want to ask. And I have to answer each question in around 1 minute.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, Ismael, why did you start a podcast?
Wow, because I love sharing stories. I love learning from people. I love adding value. And I think a conversation sometimes has more healing power than a medication. Because, if people get nutrients and proteins and they think better about who they are and what is life. Life is a game. We have to know the rules. You are bringing us like an extremely powerful life lesson. And this is awesome. For me, this is, a conversation that makes me feel better than before the conversation. So that's why a podcast for me is so interesting and important, because actually when somebody listens for an hour to a podcast, it's because that person is awakened and it's in need of that kind of information. That's why we have podcasts of everything.
Right.
Because you look for what you need.
Yeah.
Yes, I love it. You have a podcast?
I'm about to start one.
Yes.
Yes.
You should.
And will you be my guest on my podcast?
Course.
Okay, perfect.
Give me 3 more months. I'm taking American dialect classes.
Oh, well, you sound
with a
great.
coach. Yeah, but sometimes I know that I have Latino, kind of not that good pronunciation. And this year I will defend a book in English, The Art of Listening to Yourself. It's my first book published by an American publishing house with global distribution.
Amazing.
And I wanna feel as confident as I feel in Spanish, speaking English. I learned English when I was 29 in Toronto, in Canada. So sometimes here in Miami, I don't get to practice.
Right.
Now I have you, Brianna, and Rashmi, that they can practice with me English.
That's right. Okay.
Second question.
Second question. If you could change one thing about your journey that got here, what would you change?
Oh, wow. One thing. Well, when I was 24, I could have become a father, having a child. And when Eva, we were not legally married, but we were living together, and she had a girl, and I was the stepfather when I was 24 for Rosalia. And Eva wanted to have another kid. And I said, no, there is no way I want to be a father. Why? Because I was living my trauma of the divorce of my mom and my dad, and it was not a happy divorce. So I felt abandoned by my father. And then I said, I don't want to be a father. So if I look back, that's the only thing that sometimes I say, wow, you were a coward, because the blueprint that you received was so kind of limiting your possibility of seeing that you could do it better, that you could be the father that you wanted to have.
Thank you. That was really a beautiful share. Thank you for sharing.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, third question. When you look back, you did share one thing already, but when you look back, what's one thing that you believe? So a lot of this book is written about how I walked through shame and came out stronger. If you had to identify one thing,
yes,
where you felt like you went through shame and you came out stronger on the other side, what would that be?
Mental health. For so many years, I didn't want people to know what I was feeling inside. No. I had paranoia. I had like that fear or assumption that two people were talking in a corner, and my brain or my mind made me think they were talking about me as if I was the center of the universe. I was going crazy when I was 15, 16, 17. I felt in a prison, a mental prison, and I couldn't talk about it. So, and it took me years until my first book, that actually, when people from CNN read it, they said, please, are you sure you're going to publish this? That you had a psychiatric treatment? That you are afraid of schizophrenia because your father was a schizophrenic and the suicides in your family? You are a very respectable journalist, Ismael. Could you consider to take it out of the book? And I said, no. This has been a secret in my life. I don't want to take this out. This is off. This is out. I need people to know, because this is freeing myself. That's even better than my struggle with sexual identity. and not me wanting to know people that I liked a boy. That's second. The real prison was me feeling ashamed of my history with my family and what you said, the stigma, the taboo, let's not talk about this.
I mean, you basically just talked exactly about what I talk about, is that we all have these invisible prisons.
Yes.
We all are stuck in the self-limitations and the assumptions and the beliefs that we tell ourselves that limit how we see ourselves in the world and then how we put ourselves out into the world. And those invisible prisons block us from being able to perform, from being able to live, from being able to connect, from being able to be free, of our own prisons. I always say we have these glass walls that we put ourselves in, and we can't see them because they're made out of glass, but we all are inside of them.
Exactly.
It just looks differently for all of us, right? And different types of pressures. Okay, so do I get one more question?
Two more.
Two more questions.
Yes.
Okay, fourth question. So since you talked about it, you just talked about your sexual identity. So has that been something that has been a struggle for you?
Until my 40-something years. Yes.
And did you have sorry, go ahead.
Because we come from a culture, the macho Latino, we are cartoons of boys and girls, But it's not only with the Latino culture. When a boy is born, he has to wear blue and a girl pink. And I say to people, come on, how can you take away a color from the rainbow because you have this genitalia instead of the other one? It is crazy how we suffer from something that it should be natural, is really primitive, but I suffer a lot. Because, if society tells you there is something wrong with you, you want to be okay, you want to be right, not wrong.
And you also, I think historically there was also this theory of, or not theory, desire to be like everybody else.
Exactly.
Right? Like when I was younger, I didn't want to be Indian. I wanted to be like all the other blonde girls in my school.
Wow.
Thin and blonde. So I think that no matter what that thing is, it makes us different.
Yes.
Now we celebrate our uniqueness.
Now.
So I will say that there's a lot of parallels. We've already identified lots of parallels between us.
Yes.
But there's another parallel because my daughter is also gay.
Wow.
And I just wrote an article about it for Pride Month last week. But when she came out and told us, similar, right? Indian family, Indian culture, wow. And so her fear was, what will I love her the same? Will I react the same? What will my parents say? Because we all live together, and it has been such a beautiful illustration and exhibition of love. Because I will acknowledge that I didn't have the perfect response. I was okay with it, but I was also worried at the same time, like that mom's anxiety of are you sure? But what if, And so she had to give me grace as I learned to also respond and love in the same way.
And you didn't see it coming?
I didn't see it coming.
Wow, because we always hear that the mother's instinct.
Yeah, she always was very, very, very close to her friends, her girls, and almost obsessively close to her friends. But I just thought she's such a loyal friend,
Exactly.
She also had really close guy friends too. So, but anyways, but then the gift was to watch how my parents responded to her.
Wow.
And the rest of my Indian family. So that has been the most incredible thing to watch, is how just the complete acceptance and understanding. And I think this new this Gen Zers, there is no such thing as coming out anymore.
No.
They just are. They just love who they love.
They're fearless.
They're just
they don't 100%, have the fear that 100%. I had.
Exactly.
No. It's kind of, this is who I am.
Yeah.
And I actually say to people, okay, but why we have these rigid labels about our identity? Because if I have a rigid label, it means that if I change how I see myself, I have to give you explanations of my likeness. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, in so many ways, I hope that our world our society is headed towards a place of true acceptance of each of us, no matter who we want to be, no matter what we want to do, no matter who we want to love. So that's obviously the goal. Okay, so final question.
Yes.
What is your favorite thing to do for fun?
The garden.
The garden.
The garden.
So you have this beautiful sanctuary here.
Yes, this sanctuary. You know, like for me, the connection I have with this garden, which is being built for 6 years, because when we bought this property during the pandemic, were almost no trees here. No trees.
Oh my gosh, there's trees everywhere.
Exactly. It's a jungle in 6 years. And I love the connection that I feel with nature. Because nature for me is the expression of God and the infinity of imagination, forms, colors, textures. So when I'm out traveling, I feel anxiety. I need at least a video of the garden.
Really?
Because there is a connection, and actually it's like my grounding. You know, when I walk in nature, my problems dissolve. I kind of say, hey, God, you will be the one creating solutions. So it's very, very, I don't know how to say it. It's, even if I'm tired sometimes, I go to the garden and I walk for 15 minutes, and then I said, I'm not tired.
Yeah, it rejuvenates you.
Exactly. So I do that for fun. I even, I didn't build the tower myself, but I commissioned the architect to build a sunset tower.
Oh, wow. So you can see the sunset?
It's very rustic with wood. Yes, it's 25 high, and then I have the lookout to see the sunset.
Oh, how beautiful.
Oh, it's beautiful. And I say,
so you see it over the
wow.
Everglades?
Yes.
Wow, how beautiful.
Exactly. To the west, which is actually the Everglades.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, that's luxury.
That's incredible.
That's luxury because I say, wow, if I can stop everything I'm doing before the sunset and do the ritual and saying thank you and seeing the
find gratitude.
sun. Yes.
And so, do you live on this property?
Yes. This is my house, but actually this building, this house is the kind of headquarters of our foundation, the company, the studio. We have another studio, which is more kind of television. This is more like, used to be radio, but now it's podcast and meditation studio where I record the audios for meditations. And we do the retreats. We have two practice temples, one for 120 people, one for 500 people.
Really? That's good to know.
You have to do a tour.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow. So it's really like a venue.
It was 5 acres, but now it's 5. Now it's 5 more, so 10 acres.
And so it's basically a venue space too.
Yes.
People can come and like use your space.
Yes.
That's so good to know.
Yes. It's not finished, so that's why I don't kind of promote it and advertise it yet. But a lot of friends have come, teachers that have communities and have done retreats and workshops here. And we do our spiritual retreats here.
So there's like bed dorms and things like that.
Not yet, but in the future we'll have them. That's like awesome. An ashram.
Yeah, basically it's like, sounds like an ashram. Have you been to Patch of Heaven?
Yes, I love it.
Yeah.
It's an inspiration. It's an amazing place.
So incredible.
It's so incredible. Before we started Kala Center, I used to go there because it's an amazing place.
And the energy is so beautiful.
Yes.
Peaceful. The restaurant's incredible.
Yes.
Yeah, I have to take you there.
Yes.
I love it.
And now they have a butterfly.
The butterfly garden is amazing.
Yes, garden. It's amazing.
It's incredible. Like that butterfly. And the meditation space where they have the stumps is so fascinating.
Amazing.
Yeah.
This has been an incredible conversation.
Thank you for having me.
Thank
this was
you.
so fun.
Rashmi Airann.
Yes.
Yes, I'm pronouncing the last name correctly. All Rise, the book, A Lawyer's Evolution from Prison to Purpose. You can find it everywhere here in the United States, all across the globe through Amazon and Audible.
Audible, Books and Books, Barnes and Noble, Books A Million. Any place where you can buy books, you should be able to find it.
Thank you so
Independent
much
bookstores.
For your generous time.
Thank you so much for having me.
And we'll see each other so many times.
100%.
Another day you will come, but not to tape anything, just to have lunch or dinner.
Yes,
I will give you a tour of the place.
Love that.
Thank you. And if you like this conversation, please give us a 5-star review. Okay? And if you want more from Rashmi, tell me, right, I want more from Rashmi. And I will invite her again. Thank you for, yes?
I was just saying, I'm easy to find. You can find me on
please.
LinkedIn, Instagram. My email is rashmi@rashmiairan.com. My website is my name, so feel free to look me up and bring me in.
Yes, that's good. So, see you on the next episode of the Abundance Revolution. Dios es amor, hagas el milagro, which in English is God is love, let the miracle manifest. See you next time.
The Abundance Revolution with Ismail Kala continues.